Hello, everyone. We are ready to start. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to News from the Inside, the international events reporting on the 2020 US elections. My name is Nicole Piva, and today Paula Anic and I will be co-hosting the event alongside our moderator, Ethan Perlstein. Today's exclusive collaboration between AUBG Daily, BTV Media Group, and the Office of Communications and Marketing at AUBG will present to you what it's really like to be in the epicenter of the news and to report on the 2020 United States elections. Joining us today are two profound BTV faces who broadcasted this year's live US elections. First off, we have Teodora Trifonova. Trifonova is currently a news reporter and an investigative journalist at BTV Media Group. Dobromir Ivanov is the cameraman which works alongside Trifonova in her broadcasts. For the past 9 years, Trifonova has been one of the main reporters of BTV's Central Evening News program for breaking news for both national and international events such as the 2015 economic crisis in Greece, the 2016 US presidential elections, and the 2017-2018 political protests in Romania. As an investigative journalist, Trifonova has several investigative documentaries of her own based around healthcare and social issues. And our second guest is Rosen Cvitkov. Cvitkov started his professional career at the Bulgarian National Radio in 2006. A year later, he encountered the magic of television and joined the BTV news team in 2014. Petr Janarov is the cameraman which works closely with Cvitkov for his broadcasts. Cvitkov has won numerous international and national awards, including the Circom European Television Association Award for Rising Star. He has won an award for Young Investigative Journalist in Southeast Europe and the Vada Krushkina Journalism for People Award. Today's format will not be a lecture, but instead our special guests will introduce themselves, tell us a bit more about the elections, and then we will open up the floor for a Q&A. I highly recommend to prepare some questions beforehand and ask them by raising a virtual hand or sending them in the Zoom chat. With that being said, I now pass the floor on to Teodora Trifonova and Dobromir Ivanov. Thank you.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me today. Unfortunately, Dobromir Ivanov is not here with us today, but I hope I will represent our team in the best way. I hope you hear me and all of you are seeing me now. Yes, okay, great. So me and Dobromir, we were covering the US presidential elections now and 4 years ago. So we're covering the elections from the Democratic headquarters. 4 years ago, we were at Hillary Clinton's headquarters. Now we were in Joe Biden's headquarters. Before that, before the election night, we were traveling across the country. So we were in 6 different states before that. We were in Illinois, we were in Wisconsin, we were in Arizona, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New York. So our idea was to do a report on the main topics of those elections, such as the COVID-19, also how divided is the American society, not just because of the COVID-19, but also and on a political level. So we went a couple of different reports on those topics, just to give of the Bulgarian viewers just the whole overview of the situation in the States. So we did a report about, for example, in Chicago, about the COVID-19, the situation there, but in the perspective how this city, which was awarded with a national award because of COVID-19 and because they could handle the situation with the COVID-19, we went there to show to the Bulgarian audience that there, for example, the PCR tests are free for everyone. They don't pay any money for it. We also show to the Bulgarian audience how the first doctor, who is the chief doctor of the city, is working now in the pandemic situation. We also went to Wisconsin state. You probably are familiar that this is a swing state and has a huge importance in the US presidential elections. So we went there to speak with the Bulgarians who are living there. So we did a report on the topic that we have a Bulgarian who is going to vote for Biden and the other one who will vote for Trump. We went to Arizona, really interesting state, and again with a great importance on the US presidential elections. There we did a couple of stories. For example, we went to the border with Mexico, to the US-Mexican border. You know about the wall there, that this was the biggest promise of Trump to build a wall there. So we went to see what was done, what has done in the last 4 years there. We also went to a small town in the northern side of the state, just to see how the people are living there, especially with the coronavirus measures. Are they taking those measures? And we went to Pennsylvania, again, state with great importance. We did a report there in a gun store. So in the end, we went to Delaware at Joe Biden's headquarters, where we were in the election night and the day after the elections.
Hello, everyone. I was in 3 states. We started with my colleague Petr Navarov in Minneapolis, the state of Minnesota. And actually, I was there a year ago because I was a part of a media fellowship program, the World Press Institute Fellowship Program. So I know this place very well. So we started in Minneapolis because of the killing of George Floyd. Probably you know more about this case. So we started there. I interviewed the family of George Floyd and other families fighting for justice against police brutality. And then we went to Atlanta. I interviewed there Martin Luther King, the oldest son of Martin Luther King, which is, I think, was the most important interview for me during these 2 weeks in the United States. And then we went to Washington, D.C., of course, for the election day, for November 3rd. And we saw the preparation for possible looting, for possible riots before the election day. Then we experienced, of course, this election day and the days after that. So it was something like 2 weeks, very intensive weeks in the United States, with many reports, many news reports, live reports. We can show you a part of this, part of our documentary about the elections, just to see our work.
All right, guys, very good. Well, we have a quick video to play, and then while the video is playing, go ahead and think of questions you have for our guests. You can go ahead and chat them straight to me or just raise your hands via Zoom, and we will get around to your questions. But yeah, you guys can just sit back and think of questions while we play this quick video for you guys. Okay.
Съдбоносни избори в Америка. Вот по време на пандемия. Рекорден брой американци дадоха гласа си за 46-я президент. От Съединените щати, аз съм Теодора Трифонова.
Изключително оспорвана битка и близки резултати между кандидатите за Белия дом. В крайна сметка, победата е за кандидата на демократите Джо Байден. Джо Байден събра необходимите над 270 гласа, за да е 46-тият президент на Съединените щати.
Народът каза думата си. Даде ни ясна победа, убедителна победа. Обещавам да бъда президент, който се стреми не да разделя, а да обединява, който не вижда червени щати и сини щати, вижда само Съединени щати.
Доналд Тръмп заяви, че ще оспорва вота във Върховния съд и задейства процедурата още преди края на броенето.
Ако преборите законните гласове, аз печеля лесно. Ако борите незаконните гласове, те се опитват да ни откраднат изборите.
Историческият избор премина под сянката на коронавируса. Въпреки пандемията, близо 160 милиона американци гласуваха. Най-високата избирателна активност за последните 100 години в Съединените щати. На 3 ноември и в дните преди вота в цялата страна се извиха дълги опашки пред секциите. Тази спортна зала в Атланта е най-голямата изборна локация в щата Джорджия. Над 300 машини обработват гласовете на американците, които са решили да гласуват тук.
Моята лична причина да съм тук е, че чувствам, че мога да предизвикам промяна.
Важно е на тези избори гласът ни да бъде чут. Особено след всичко това, което се случва, включително и расовото неравенство.
Изборът на 46-тия президент на страната показа и дълбоко разделение в американското общество. В решаващия щат Уисконсин сред сънародниците ни има симпатизанти и на Байден, и на Тръмп. Койчо Велчев за втори път дава гласа си за Тръмп. Живее от 30 години в щатите и притежава камиони, с които развива своя бизнес.
All right, guys, that was a quick little sneak peek of what our guests were doing their work in America, and it was obviously broadcasted here in Bulgaria. My apologies for not finding subtitles for English. I'm now going to open up the floor to anyone who has any questions. I see a couple people sending to me in the chat. Perfect. And yeah, I'm going to start with the first question. Go ahead, Mohammed, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask directly.
All right, thanks. Welcome to our honorable guests. So my question is, like, with the current political events and challenges in the world, how can journalists keep reporting and writing articles while keeping themselves safe, basically?
I would say that the most challenging thing was, of course, the pandemic. And to be honest with you, I was a little bit scared before that. And we wanted to stay safe, to be well and safe before our trip, of course, and during the business trip, and after that, because we had a lot of work to do in Bulgaria as well after the election day. So it was very tough, I would say, very tough. Of course, we wore masks all the time, but I think the most difficult thing was to convince our speakers before in front of the camera to be interviewed in person, not online. And we met actually a lot of people, probably, I don't know, probably 10 or 20 people. I'm not sure about it, but we have a lot of in-person interviews with them. Of course, with all the mask, with I don't know, maybe Teddy could say more about it, but of course, social distancing all the time, and we're well right now.
Yeah, actually, to add to what Roshan is saying, I just wanted to share with you some photos to show you how we particularly were working in the States during that period of 2 to 3 weeks that we spent there covering the election. So I will share my screen now to show you some photos. Just a second. So, okay.
But yeah, everything was crazy at the airports, at
Just
the
a second.
on the streets, especially in Minneapolis. Absolutely empty streets. It was the same in Atlanta. It was different in Washington, D.C., especially on the election day around the White House.
So yes, so I want to show you some photos. So the first one I will show you is this one. Yes, second. Yeah, just a second. Yes, do you see this photo? I hope you're seeing it. So here we are at the border, at the US-Mexican border.
Theodora, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you've opened a new window, so you need to go to the screen share and share that window.
Okay, just a second. Yeah. Did I?
So go ahead and end the share and then start a new screen share and then click on the picture.
Yeah, just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some issues now with sharing the photo. So
We can see them. I mean, they're small, but yeah.
yeah, do you see them? But yeah, I know. Yeah.
So go ahead and
yeah, I just wanted to share with you this photo. If you've seen it, it's great because it's a really good example how we were working in this pandemic situation in the States. So you see that I'm holding a microphone, but it's not the microphone that we're using when we are in Bulgaria, for example. So this microphone, it's called a shotgun microphone, and we decided with my photographer to use that kind of a microphone because to keep this social distance between our crew and the people that we were doing an interview with. So you're seeing here the deputy sheriffs of Pima County in the city of Tucson, which is in the border between the US and Mexico. And you see that we're using this microphone, and on the side that the people that we were meeting during our stay in the States, they didn't want to for example to touch them, to be close to them. So some of the people, before going to the States, when we were arranging our trip to the States, they wanted from us, to keep the distance. So this is some kind of a safety measures that we were taking, not just wearing a mask, but in this one, I wanted to share with you one more photo. I'm not sure that you see it, but I will try. So it's again how we were traveled the States, because this is interesting.
This picture?
Yeah. let me see. Do you see what I shared now or not?
No.
Yeah, this one. So yes, this picture, it's me and my photographer. We were wearing masks, but not just masks, also special medicine helmets. We were wearing this when we were traveling on the planes. So we have, I think, six times we were flying from one city to another. So you can imagine how difficult it was for us, for traveling like this with 2 to 3 masks covered, and also with a medicine helmet, and all the time, you're not touching anything. You are just, trying to keep yourself and the crew safe. So it was a challenge for us. And as Rosen said, it was like the most important thing was till the end of this trip, till the end of the elections, when was the election night, our crew to be safe and to be in good health, because the main thing was, to cover the elections in the election day, not to be, sick before that. So yeah, it was a challenge and it was difficult, but hopefully we're safe and we don't have a COVID-19. So
Brilliant, thank you. Real quick, Rosen, the Instagram account you just showed us, if you wanted to drop it in the chat so everyone can go look at those photos on their own, that would be awesome for us to be able to go share those. So the next question we have from one of our students we collected today, and it is, so do journalists in different countries support each other, or do you find that there are stereotypes that divide them? So did you work closely with American journalists, and were they helpful, or did they kind of have like an in-group, out-group when it came to foreign journalists working with them?
Yeah, I work in Minneapolis with local journalists from Star Tribune. This is the largest newspaper in Minnesota. And actually one of them gave me the contact of the family of George Floyd, which was, really important to me to have this personal contact with this family. And I met them in Minnesota, and I have, I think, emotional interview with them for the first time for Bulgarian TV station. So we helped each other in Minneapolis and then in Washington, D.C. with other journalists from all around the world. So I think we have this great network, me and Terry, I'm sure about it. We have great network with contacts with international journalists, not only in the United States. Now, as I mentioned, this fellowship program, World Press Institute Fellowship Program, is really important to us because now we have good contacts in the United States, not only in Minneapolis. This organization, World Press Institute, is based in Minneapolis, but we had a chance to travel a lot in the United States a year ago, in my case. So I have great contacts and great collaboration with a lot of international journalists.
yes, and moreover, I remember 4 years ago when I was covering the elections 2016. Most of the reports that I did during that time was from this fellowship program. So our colleagues from the fellowship program, American colleagues, helped us a lot, with arranging the interviews. For example, from this fellowship program, they helped me with arranging an interview with the editor-in-chief of Washington Post, which is one of the main and the biggest newspapers in the world. So this is just an example of the. For example, they helped me also. I remember with arranging the press credentials of Hillary Clinton's headquarters, because it's not an easy job to get inside of those headquarters. They just allowed the biggest media outlets in the world, and us as being from a small country, for us it was a challenge to get inside of those headquarters. So what can I say also, that it's not just in the States, but I have a previous international covering news, big events such as for example the protests in Romania, 2018, 2017. Again, a lot of interviews I did by our colleagues who helped me there in Romania. So
perfect, thank you. The next question comes from Johan. Johan, if you want to unmute yourself, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. I have a question for Tsvetkov. He said that during his time in America, the most important interview he had was with the eldest son of Martin Luther King. Can you say something more about how the interview went and why it was so important?
I think it was important. It was important because of, because of Martin Luther King, of course. And I wanted to discuss the election with his son. And we mentioned a lot of times in this discussion, America is still divided today. So I wanted to discuss why is that? What is the reason? It was really hard to have this interview as well. That's why I think it's important, because we did it. It was really hard because of course, the pandemic, and the whole organization of this interview was really hard. And one of our colleagues, Ivan Georgiev, helped a lot about this interview. It was something like 40 minutes, the whole discussion. We talked a lot about the election, about the killing of George Floyd, about racism, about police violence, about a lot of things, and of course about the speech, I Have a Dream. You can watch this interview online on our website. Of course, I have a documentary about the killing of George Floyd with fragments of this interview as well. So that's why it was really important. It is important to have this interview with the relatives of George Floyd as well, because, as I said, these interviews were very emotional. But maybe this meeting with the son of Martin Luther King was, something very special for me.
I'm sorry, I have a follow-up question. How did you come up in contact with him?
Of course, he has a PR team. We tried in this way, of course. This is the best way to connect with this person, of course. And as I said, the whole organization was really tough, because we sent a lot of emails. But yeah, it was something like weeks for this organization. So it was really hard, as I mentioned, really hard. But I think you should watch this interview. I think it's really interesting.
That must have been an incredible experience. The next question: how do you gather information on the elections, and how do you verify which information is accurate, plausible, fake versus rumors? What are the standards you use for your sources, especially in the year of 2020?
I think the most important time was during the election night, because all the time we were, we were on air, from the morning show till the central evening news. So you can imagine this was around 12 hours, that all the time you are on air, and it was really cold, and you are outside, and you don't have time to eat, to even to drink water, and even to go to sleep. So you have to be in really good condition all the time. And the most important thing is your information to be accurate. So me and Rosen, we just decided to use some websites like that. They're some websites, political especially, where the information it's accurate. So so we can rely that what they are written in their posts, it's correct. So we can announce this to the Bulgarian audience. And I think we didn't do a mistake, with relying on those websites, such as 358, right? .com. If you're familiar with this website, it's really good for checking the polls, and especially with the elections, really, really good. And we also decided to, to follow the
New York Times.
Yeah, the New York Times. We decided, to follow the information in New York Times. So, and again, it's important. It's not just our two teams. They are in the States that we're doing everything. Here in Bulgaria also, we have colleagues who are working in this time. Our international reporters who are helping us. It's an actually international desk, to be more specific. So they would, checking the information from Reuters and the other media outlets. So all the time we were keeping in touch with them to verify our information and ask them, okay, do you have a statement for Trump or from Biden? Because in the election night, when Biden arrived in the headquarters, in his headquarters, I was outside, because the foreign journalists, such as our TV crew, was outside of the headquarters because of the COVID-19 measures that they were taking. So I didn't know if Biden is inside of the headquarters or he is not. I didn't know rather he's going to speak or he's going to have his first speech, which is really important. And if I don't, didn't have this contact with our colleagues from the foreign desk here in the newsroom, it would be impossible for me to cover what is happening right now. Because and moreover, because I didn't have an internet in my cell phone, because when Biden arrived in the headquarters, the Secret Service, they just drop off all the connections in the area. So you can imagine in the election night not to have internet and to follow the polls and all the time to be on air. So it's really difficult, but this is our job.
Yeah.
And being a journalist for me, sometimes it's to find the best solution and the best way. Even the situation it's really difficult and it's tough, and it's really hard for you to do your job. So your work is to find a way to do your best and to do your work.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
Yes.
So we learned a lot in this during this tough time in the United States. And of course, I followed the New York Times, Washington Post, but I tried to tweet all of the all the tweets of Donald Trump, because he was very active, especially this night. If you remember, he said, "I'm the winner," but it was not true. So I tried to be pretty, to use these trusted sources like New York Times, Washington Post, as I mentioned, CNN, of course, CBS, BBC. And it's really important to me to be with the reliable sources at this time. As I mentioned, Donald Trump was very active with a lot of tweets, like it was he mentioned something like, a voter fraud. There is a voter fraud, and he's still refusing to accept the results, the outcome. So it's really important to follow these information sources at this time, at this night, election night. It was tough, but yeah, we have this international desk, our colleagues in Sofia as well, with very important information.
Very good. All right, the next question is, so there are many political issues and terms from the United States that are unique to that region. Was there any difficulty in explaining some of these issues to a Bulgarian audience without losing the complexity of the topics?
I think, probably the most important thing is during the elections are do you hear me? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I think probably the most important thing of the elections are, the swing states. So, the states that they have a great importance and that decide the elections. So I think this was some kind of all the time I was thinking how I'm, going to explain to the Bulgarian audience what is exactly swing state, and are they do they understand me, So I was thinking, just to explain to them, it's a state with a great importance because, they are not Republicans, not a Democratic, they are on the two sides, and you don't know whether they're going to vote for Trump or for Biden. So this is the most interesting part of the elections, that you are following those swing states, such as Florida. The president who wins Florida wins the elections again. But in this case, even Donald Trump won Florida, Biden won the elections. So it was really interesting. Again, Arizona, swing state, Pennsylvania, swing state, so Wisconsin, and all the time, the political game in the US is, around those states. So one more thing that I think it's the Bulgarian audience are not familiar with, it's the electoral college, because the system in the States, it's pretty difficult from ours here in Bulgaria. So, it's difficult to explain to them that the next president of the US, it's not this one that is going to, for example, to win the popular vote, but those one who will win the electoral college, and to explain to them what is the electoral college and everything. So I think these two things was the some kind of issues, for me, but it was a challenge 4 years ago again.
or maybe to explain why Trump said I'm the winner, but he is not the winner for our audience. But probably our audience, our viewers, know the behavior of Trump. I mean, who is Trump? So probably for me it was easy to explain what is this game? Why is that? So Terry mentioned that probably to explain this system, this different electoral, this different political process was hard for us, but I think we did it in a good way.
Yeah, because if you compare, it's important, to some kind of to explain in the best way to the audience what is happening there. But you can't compare the Bulgarian political system with the American. So this was difficult, but moreover now with this was not just a historical vote in the States. It was a vote in a pandemic situation with COVID-19, and most of the Americans were voting through mail. So this was something new, because 4 years ago, for example, we knew the next president during the same night during the elections, but now we understand that the Joe Biden is the next president 4 days later. So on Saturday, yeah, 5 or 4 days later. So yeah, this was something brand new. So the situation was for the first time in the American history. So it was difficult to predict, for in my perspective, what is going to happen in the election night. I thought that they're going to count the votes a day or two after the elections, but I didn't expect to continue 4 to 5 days after that, and we are still not know who is the 46th president of the United States. So yeah, again, this was because here in Bulgaria we know who is the winner in the next day, but in the States it wasn't like this. So those are the differences between the two political systems.
And we still don't know what is going to happen in the next days, weeks in the United States, of course, because we can see what is the situation there. Trump, is still, as I said, is still refusing to accept the outcome. So everything is quite interesting there at this moment.
Yes.
To follow up on that, does BTV have a team still covering it? I mean, you guys are obviously back in Bulgaria now. Is BTV still covering, or is now that the election is quote unquote over, has BTV pulled out from the elections, from the state?
Now we are covering the elections from our international desk. As I told you, we have, I think, a current correspondent who is in Chicago. And if we have, for example, some, breaking news in the States with the elections or any other topic, our correspondent will be on live, will be on air, and he will do a report. So yes, on your question, we are still following the elections. So the biggest, I think, probably the most interesting thing the next two months in the US will be the inauguration day, which is January, on January. So it was the most interesting part of this elections, I think, what is going to happen in the inauguration day.
Very good. Thank you. I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. Another question from a student. Have you noticed any differences between international American journalism and Bulgarian journalism? Are there any journalistic practices that made an impression on you that you found in the States that you did not learn in Bulgaria that you found useful and or interesting?
I think, I think we did more in-person interviews compared to them. This is just my feeling. We tried, you know, as I said, we tried to convince a lot of people to be in front of our camera because for TV station it's really important to have emotion in front of the camera. So yeah, I think we had more in-person interviews and contacts with the people in the field compared to our colleagues from the United States, for example.
And you know, I think that in this situation, in this pandemic situation with the coronavirus, you know, everyone is trying, I mean, the journalists here in the States, trying to do their best in this situation. But, you know, most of them, what I was seeing there was that they are working remotely, you know, that they're working from the newsrooms, from their homes. Yeah, they're not doing interviews in person. So this was a challenge, as Rosen said, for both of us, you know, to convince the people to speak with us in person in this situation. I can give you an example, a brief example. A colleague of mine who is working in NPR, National Public Radio. She's also a Bulgarian. Her name is Monica Statieva. Probably you are familiar with her. So she told me that since March, since the start of the pandemic, she's working from her home, and they don't do any interviews in person. Everything is just on Skype or on Zoom. So the American media now mostly is working remotely. But you know what I think, and I think Rosen will agree with me, what we both you know gain from this profession in the States was when we were in the newsrooms of those media outlets. I mean, in the biggest media outlets in the States, such as Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, and so on. So the idea just to go there and to meet with those people, just to, you know, cross through the newsroom, to see how do they work and everything, I think you gain a lot of experience that you can next implement here in Bulgaria. So yeah, me and Rosen, we had this rare chance to be on this fellowship of WordPress Institute, and you know, to change our perspective of the journalism, you know, to see the best practices in the States, and then to implement this in BTV and in Bulgaria. So I think all the time, both of us, we are trying to work on these standards of journalism, you know, to follow them. And to be honest with you, most of the time we are working just our own. What I mean in this is like we have a lot of challenges that we experience through our work, especially in the US. But facing with this, it's like you should try your best to do your work in the best way. And sometimes I even think that we are more experienced than other journalists that are, because, you know, for example, we don't have, you know, so much money to rely on in this situation. We don't have a fixer, we don't have a producer on the field, a field producer there. So it's just us and our photographers, and we should do our work in a world level, the best level. So it's really hard, but I think working in this way, you can really become a good journalist.
Wow,
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
kind of something like an adventure for us. As you know, probably, I'm a crime reporter in Bulgaria. I'm an investigative journalist, and this experience is quite different for me. But it's one of the best thing that I have a chance to face in my life, in my lifetime.
I just want to add something, to give you more glimpse, closer to what we experienced there through this elections in the pandemic situation again. It was like, you're going there and you see those, ghost towns with no people anywhere because of the COVID situation. For example, the coffee stores are not working. There's no place to grab a coffee in the morning. And you have, for example, between 12 to 15 hours that you are working all the time. And you are from one interview to another, to a live broadcasting. You have sometimes less than 5 hours to sleep. And during the night, you are doing your report, you're writing your story, you're sending your materials to Bulgaria. During the day, you don't have time to eat anything. And because of the COVID, nothing is working. For example, I told to Rosen, and he perfectly knows this, but when I see a Starbucks in the States, it was like a miracle for me, that I will have a chance to eat. So imagine to work in such a situation, to be exhausted of your work, and to experience the COVID in first hand. So it was really difficult in this situation to cover the elections.
Wow, very good. Okay, one last question. We have a question from Professor Phillips. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes. So, Rosen, thank you very much for your reporting. Theodora, also, I watched a lot of your reporting while you were in the US. You did a wonderful job. Rosen, it was a great interview in Atlanta and also in Chicago, Theodora. So I saw many of them. I'm just curious. So you were there, you experienced it, and you come back. Are you optimistic about the next 4 years or the United States, or are you pessimistic?
I'm still confused, to be honest with you. Yeah, absolutely. Let's say something in the middle between optimism and pessimism. I'm not really sure, but something in the middle. I'm not really sure what is going to happen in the next days, not just years. So I would say I expect a brighter future for the United States, but I'm not really sure. I'm still really confused after this experience in the United States.
Professor Phillips, I'm not optimistic, to be honest with you. And I will, I'm not optimistic because I remember 4 years ago, the elections, and yes, they were totally different. But, if I compare United States now and 4 years ago, I see the division and how divided is the American society. Even in issues such as to wearing a mask, I see how divided is the society. Even this became a political issue. So I'm just worried about what is going to happen next year or the next, as Rosen said, the next couple of days. because I see that people there, they just divided in their political views, such as Democratic or Republicans. I will give you an example. When I was in Arizona, we traveled to this small town, Williams. It's on the road 66, close to the Grand Canyon. We went there, and this small town, it's with a Republican mayor, and the whole town is a Republican. And they said that they don't want to wear masks there, the people, and they don't have a mask mandate in this town. And the mayor of the town told me that they're Americans and they're free people and they're free spirits, and nobody should tell them that they should wear a mask or to take any measures, against the virus. So I think this, division in the American society, even in this topic, shows to us now the situation in the society. And yes, I'm worried what is going to happen there. Actually, I'm going next week to the US to study in the Arizona State University. So I will spend there the next year, and I'm still worried what would happen during this period of time when I will be in the US. So yes.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank
Brilliant. I'm now going to pass the floor over to Paula, and she's going to wrap it up. I just want to thank you guys for your answers and for your time. Paula, it's all you.
Thank you, Ethan. We came to the end of the panel. I would like to thank the speakers for their time and for answering all the questions that the audience asked. Thank you for using your time and giving us a better view of our future jobs. Thank you to the organizers as well. The whole AUBG Daily team would like to thank AUBG Office in Marketing and Communications, as well as BTV, for helping us organize this panel. Even with tighter measures and having to transfer the whole event online, we did an amazing job. And in the end, big thanks to everyone who came and participated by asking questions. We hope this panel helped you understand the job you're studying for and cleared some questions in your head. Goodbye and good night to everyone.
Thank you very much for having us this evening, and I just wanted to thank you once again and to say that you are very welcome in the newsroom of BTV, and we would be glad to see you in our newsroom as soon as possible.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
We're coming. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye. 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 Bye.